benefit.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I don't mean rope every turn, but maybe 10 seconds to just think about something. It's not too long. We have got another matchup coming right up, though. It's going to be Zumpp versus Pokrovac. We saw Pokrovac do very well on stream earlier with a very quick, I think that was the fastest series, as a 3-0.
Was it time-wise, though?
I think so.
Okay. Someone go back and run the clock. I want to know. Yeah.
Someone just sit there with an actual just...
Right.
Like timer, that'd be great. I don't know whether that was a timer or some kind of squirrel.
I want to know how long they went on.
Anyway, so Zumpp versus Pokrovac. We saw Pokrovac. We've talked a lot about him, and there he is in a giant red coat. He looks a little bit chilly.
It's chilly in here.
I'm a bit warm now. I think I'm acclimatized. Yeah, I'm a bit toasty. But what can you tell me about Zumpp? Because I believe he's a player we know about, but maybe not as well known to the general public.
Yeah, he was a player that had a very big breakout performance at one of the earlier EU DreamHack events, and a lot of top players were impressed with his play, but particularly impressed with the variant of Mage that he brought with him. You know, the Mana Worms packed into the Freeze Mage package, essentially, and Firelands Portals as well. He was really one of the big pioneers of that deck list that really became the standard Mage list very soon after that, based on his DreamHack performance with that very deck.
Yeah, and his performance was he made the semi-finals and actually ended up losing to Orange as well, which, making the semi-finals is a humongous achievement for, a lot of these players, and getting knocked out by Orange, one of the most experienced players in Hearthstone at the moment, and one of the best performing recently, actually, is, upsetting to lose. But you just lost to Orange and DreamHack, seems pretty good. We can check out the picks and bans for these players as we decipher the lineups. We have seen Pokrovac play a little bit earlier, and I am sure Zumpp has glanced at the VODs when he found out who he was playing. Maybe just took 5 minutes to have a quick glance. But it's going to be the Druid, Rogue, and the Mage with Priest banned away. And Zumpp also, with his Priest banned away, playing Druid, Warlock, and Rogue.
That was terrifying. He was just giving the stone-cold eyes over the monitor there at Pokrovac.
I was watching, well, it's funny you just there. I was watching Pokrovac earlier on stream, and he was death staring. I've lost who he actually played now. But he was giving them full, eyes at the top of the head, look over the monitor, death stare. So we'll see if that happens again, because it did look a little bit scary.
Yeah, and both of these players 4 and 0 as well. Both.
Bit of a change. Nope.
Mix up.
That is confirmed. Druid is banned.
Bait and switch. The Druid is banned instead of the Priest on Zumpp's side, so Pokrovac has chosen to ban out Druid. But as I was saying, both of these players 4 and 0, and I've actually just been given an update on the other 4-0 players who are taking place in this round. Glacier, who is a player who has started to impress a lot of people, starting really with his HGG performance. Is 4 and 0. Pool 8, a well-known DreamHack name. Pokrovac, who we're looking at. Twink is 4 and 0. Dodgy, who we just saw. Dragon Albert, who is another player that I never seem to see his name anywhere but DreamHack.
I never need to see him either. It's like,
but then he just shows up at DreamHacks and just puts in these incredible performances. Swaggermeist, I believe, is the name that I've got written down here, which sure.
Okay, now I just hope Lorinda's actually trolling you, but we are going into the mulligan.
Okay.
So we can continue a little bit later before the next person is like Lulchomp or something. Just made up names at this point from Lorinda. Maybe.
Bittertide Hydra in the mulligan for Pokrovac's Tempo Mage. We saw this earlier. One of the few players so far, I believe the only player that we've at least seen draw Bittertide Hydra. Not sure if any others are packing it in there as well. Of course, DreamHack is hidden deck lists up until the later stages. One of the unique challenges. Some players really do struggle in this format. Some players really excel in this format. But you do get to hide 1 or 2 tech cards potentially through the course of the tournament this way. But Pokrovac's Hydras have been revealed already.
I would love it if someone just tuned in to that exact sentence just in a vacuum. It's like, oh yeah, Pokrovac, the only player we've seen to actually draw Hydra. Like it was like the ultimate skill, like heart of the card style. Like he managed to draw Hydra. It's incredible, but yeah, not really the most standard build we have seen, and going up against his control lock too.
I'll finish off this list real quick. The remaining 4-0 players: Fury Hunter, Vanek, Tonoramis, Melon, Zumpp, Son of War, Matty, and Daleson, who we just got done.
Which one was this one again?
Swaggermeist, it appears to be. I don't know. I'm reading Lorinda's handwriting right now. It could be anything.
Okay, so tomorrow I'm going to bring you a list of players that are like 4-2 or whatever. You have to read it out.
Sure.
Okay. And I'm just going to spend this series thinking of names. I am joking, of course. Pokrovac, off to not the craziest start in the world, but again, just the sheer power that Valspine, especially with coin and backstab. It's actually a little bit scary here. Oof. Spicy gold chime footman there. He's going to get some work done.
If nothing else, it might be a Defile activator at some point just to get that 2 health breakpoint onto the board.
Nothing else, it's just funny.
If nothing else, it kind of looks like admirable.
If he dyed his hair. It's quite light brown.
It is, yeah. You're not wrong.
So many options.
Go back there, just hovering to show off the golden celebration card back for being really good at Hearthstone.
Yep. Which is why none of the casters get it for attending HCT Championship events.
You do get the, what was it called? Oh, what's the red one called?
Oh, something like Glorious Battle or some nonsense like
I
that.
thought what you were going to say.
It's something like that.
Inglorious Battle?
It's a good film.
These players are definitely here looking to take some scalps. Zumpp seems to be a player who likes to take his time. I can't whether he... Yeah, I was going to say, whether he thinks he can get away with this Doomsayer.
Yeah.
Or Dr. Doom. By looks things here. As Zumpp gave us the pleasure of actually evening up the 2 minions either side here.
Yeah, backstab SI leaves him 1 short of getting the clean attack through, and even then the Edwin would be 1 damage away from taking care of the Doomsayer. So it looks like a pretty clean setup against what he would be expecting the range of possibilities for Pokrovac to be on the following turn.
Has got a good rebuild though. Turn 5 Hydra into turn 6 backstab Valspine potentially is looking really good just to defend the Hydra if, say, a singular chunky minion, you know, like a Dreadlord came out or something like that. Like just an easy boom, gone, get out the way, hit him in the face for 8. But now again, Zumpp just loving them at the Dr. Footman. Got a lot of taunts in the way, and you know this taunt is actually a little bit annoying for this Hydra. Goldshire Footman can get 3 damage in right now.
Yeah, and we're seeing the difference in the previous series with Zumpp choosing to leave Druid up from the opponent while playing Control Warlock, and there is that Geist that we've been seeing from players who've chosen to do this the whole time, and we did not see in the previous series when Druid ended up being banned. So,
I think I would like that Goldshire to go into the Hydra, to be completely honest.
I can see it, for sure. I can see the
you
merits
have
of it.
3 taunts on the board. Does
Yeah.
the 4th really matter? It can be backstabbed, it can be SI'd, so on and so on. It could just be AoE down that turn, and it only did 1, you know.
We see with the dagger equipped, when cards like Backstab and SI come out, they're generally challenging a 2-3 instead, which is what ended up happening. So in that case, by not trading, you do still have that additional 1-2 taunt in play for the following turn.
I just want all the damage to go to Fate Cell.
3, 6, 9, 12 damage available with trading in and Hellfiring this turn.
I thought you were just reciting the 3 times table then. I was like, good job. 3, 6, 9, 12. Yay!
Yeah, when you're dealing with Hydras, it tends to be multiples of 3.
It's true. Practice clicks just to make sure.
Going to coil it as well to pick up the damage.
I like it.
Yeah, like it.
Do you care about card draw when you're about to kill your opponent? Don't think so.
Nope.
There is Leroy's Shadow Step in hand now. So I did just double check it was in fact not lethal.
Good job.
For Pokrovac. I'm doing my work now. I will not be duped twice. I probably will. I don't know why I said that. It's probably going to happen this
Setting
weekend.
yourself up for failure there, Raven. He's going to jam Lich King. This,
I mean, Death Coil can do it. Definitely K almost does it.
Yeah. There's the D&D. This does enable a pretty huge tempo swing here with the Valspine Slayer. But there is not a great activator for it, to say the least. And Pokrovac was just mousing over the Bone Mare there, just considering putting that huge minion in play himself. But
he
then
has to kill it, though.
Yeah, that then offers a second Lich King and leaves an 8/8 in play, and he's just dead to Siphon Soul, for example. So
just lose. Yeah, you just lose. Or just Death Coil.
yeah, silence.
Yeah.
So many ways just he can get through at that
Second
point.
Death and Decay, even though he doesn't know he's there.
Yeah. But I mean, sometimes this is just the world you live in, right? Where it's like, I can make the play that keeps me alive this turn most often, but how do I win the game in that situation? I will take the chance that I die here to give myself a slightly higher percentage of winning the game overall. It's the play Pokrovac went for, but Zumpp, very strangely navigated game, I would say. The early Doomsayer hidden behind 2 taunts, followed by just farming a bit of Tide Hydra, essentially, throwing that Mortal Coil in there as well for the extra damage. Didn't end up making a difference because he had that huge overkill from the Lich King, but it showed where his head was at in terms of developing his game plan.
Well, it gave him the opportunity to not have Siphon Soul or not have to battle through 1 taunt, right? He could actually just get there with damage. So Zumpp there, yeah, taking the win. And someone who cooks up that mage list probably doesn't surprise me that he plays a little bit unorthodox. It's one of the problems you have with this Hydra, to be honest. Although it might be more playable in the expansion, do you think? So if you take damage from Hydra on your opponent's turn, will you... Oh no, is it when a minion attacks? I think it's when a minion attacks. The secret? The evasion?
Oh,
that makes you immune, so I don't think it's damage, right? It's when a minion actually attacks you.
Right, yeah.
So Hydra just sounds worse in the expansion, actually. Never mind, I take it all back. Play Elementals instead. Game number 2, though. Jade Druid for Pokrovac, and Zumpp, of course, still on his Warlock, as per the last hero standing rules.
Yeah, and crucially, as we've been talking about, the Geist is present in this Warlock deck, which means he's trying to land that, he's trying to kill all the idols, and then his plan is legitimately just to exhaust Pokrovac of threats if possible. If he can't do that, he does have the potential to just power curve into Gul'dan as an alternate win condition as well.
Yeah, outside of Plague, Jade Druid can't really do much about a very wide board, and Gul'dan normally puts one out there. Also, what's Pokrovac's mage? Do we know? Did we see? I can't recall now. I'm going crazy. Just feels weird to queue the Druid into the Warlock. Because you must know the Geist is there, right?
You would suspect if your Druid has been left up against this lineup, which does have Priest and Warlock in it, that Zumpp is a Geist gamer, yeah.
Seems weird. Like, most mages, I think, are pretty good versus Warlock. Can't really deal with the damage output that well.
It's fair.
But we'll find out. We will find out.
Blood Reaver has really changed the dynamic on a lot of those matchups, though, because quite often, you know, if the Alex comes down, the initial armor burst of the Blood Reaver is enough to let you survive that 1 turn, and then suddenly those incremental heals are just keeping you that 1 turn out of range over time. So that can change the breakpoints for sure.
Big thing for me is the Elementals take 2 of those hero powers to deal with.
Yes.
If, you know, with the Jaina's Elementals. So, but we'll find out. But this one's going to be the Jade Druid, of course. And in case you are wondering about the sequence in there, didn't really need to shuffle anymore in.
Well, he doesn't want to draw Jade Idol. He wants to draw Nourish, Ultimate Infestation. He doesn't want Jade Idols in his deck. It goes back to the exact read that we're talking about, that he's expecting those Jade Idols to get blown up at some point anyway. So he knows he needs to draw his alternate threats to be able to take care of business.
And the important part is that is 1 Jade Idol used.
Yeah.
So you use it to create a minion, it's used, so Geist does 1 less thing to a certain extent. Because if Geist drops before you played any Jade Idols, it's not about going infinite, it's about being 2 Idols down.
Yes.
Basically, or 2 Jades down, should I say.
Well,
okay.
So remember that thing about not wanting to draw Jade Idol?
Misplay.
Does he just go ahead and slam it here? Is he that confident that the Geist is coming out? No, is the answer.
But what's he waiting for?
Again, he doesn't want to draw Jade Idols. He wants to draw Nourishes and Ultimate Infestations before he puts those Jade Idols in his deck.
Sure. The worry I'm thinking is the longer you wait, the longer the Geist is there anyway. So should you have just made a minion?
Well, if he knows that if he thinks that there is a Geist coming at all, he always
there
makes a minion.
has to be.
Again, I think that is a read you can absolutely make by the fact that your Druid was not banned in this position, specifically against this lineup that you're dealing with.
See how it pays off. Pokrovac drew the card he wanted to see, just not this turn. Maybe just wanted literally anything else this turn, and then the Ultimate Infestation. But now there is an Ultimate Infestation combo next turn for Pokrovac that is going to fill his hand up. Which means he's got way more options going forward, but Zumpp has got all the options right now. And tap keeps his hand extremely large. Is that 9 cards now? Sorry, 8. And double Dreadlord on the board is very awkward to deal with. And just frankly, a lot of damage.
Yep. And the Kun UI is going to come down. He's going to take care of one of the Dreadlords. Interesting, Zumpp just chose to load out on 2 5 health minions going into Pokrovac's turn 10. Did have other options available to him, you know, Stonehill, Chain Gang, that kind of combination, but even then there would, you know, still be that 1-4-5 target kicking around. So no matter what he did, that ultimate infestation was going to hit a 4-5.
Yeah, and also as well, this actually, you know, you got to look at things like Hellfire and like setups for the second Dreadlord getting some work done. If you're playing Sirenites, then, you know, the Pokrovac kind of just laughs. It's like, oh, 2-3 is great, you know, whatever. Yeah. Whereas at least Dreadlord is some threat level that's relevant to the situation. Now that Zumpp's got a lot of options, and now he has to work out exactly what he wants to do to try and negate the fact that Pokrovac just drew, you know, most of his deck, basically, at this point. We're just drawing 5 cards and gaining the armor. He is very far away from getting the kill here, so Zumpp's probably going to now, as opposed to like some kind of bruiser plan, just revert to, okay, I'm going to Geist you, and I'm going to kill everything you have. I'm going to wait to get the optimal Twisted Nethers, and to get there, we're probably going to see usage of this Sirenite Chain Gang, the Tar Creeper, to say, okay, kill it, but then you play one more thing.
Yeah.
And then kill it, but then you play 2 more things. Then I twist in, then I Geist, let's go.
And you've seen on multiple occasions through the early and mid-game turns from Zumpp, he has given up tempo in order to fit in an extra life tap.
Yes.
Because he knows how crucial it is that he draws that Geist before the Jade Idols can get out of control. Because if Pokrovac can just go off with a Jade Idol turn and use 3 or 4 Jade Idols before they get blown up, while shuffling more into the deck, one of those, you know, Jade Idol miracle turns, essentially, then the Geist just doesn't do enough. You can't then match 1-for-1 with removal versus threats against the Jade.
And it's the issue of the mana cost as well, right?
Yeah.
If the board's huge, you clear. But then if you clear it, they make another huge board.
Yeah.
You cannot Geist and clear in the same turn, so you need to get it early enough or get the best clear possible. And this is exactly what this Doomsay is going to do. Let me have one more turn, thank you, sir. And it allows him to say, well, okay, now if I draw a Geist, I can just play it and it's on an empty board. Like, life's looking pretty good for Zumpp in that instance.
I mean, right now he's just going to jam his cooldown and get a couple of Dreadlords back, bare minimum. We saw...
Do you think he'd play Geist if he didn't? If he drew it?
Probably not. I think
Really?
I think he'd slam cooldown.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. It's a good cooldown.
But now, here's the downside, right? You just saw him mouse over the deck. Now he can't tap for his Geist anymore because he's just played Gul'dan.
It's like, oh, how many cards left?
He's got a 1 in 8, followed by a 1 in 7, followed by a 1 in 6 to pick up one of those cards. But I mentioned this right at the start, that this is now an alternate win condition. This is a big tempo push. He can now push a lot of damage, and he's backing that up with significantly more damage from the hero power as well, which doubles up as you know, soft removal at least. The minions will generally be too big to just be clean sniped by the hero power, but it's something that can get the job done.
And this is the turn, even though it doesn't necessarily look it, Zumpp's actually very okay with this turn from Pokrovac. He didn't spam out tons of Jades he has to be worried about dying to, and he can just survive next turn. There's only, what, 6, 8, 12 power, 13 with hero power, so you're like, well, I'm just not going to die, am I?
Right.
So then he can wait another turn. He can actually just play a Doomsayer behind this. He could just play Stonehill, Doomsayer. And then you've got to be at least reasonably confident that either A, you soak a ton of damage and your Dreadlords live, or one of them lives, or Pokrovac lets the board get wiped, and then you're like, well, okay, you let the board get wiped. One more draw for me, one more hero power for me, let's go.
That was not the Stonehill he was looking for.
Wasn't Frostwolf Grunt an option? Didn't you question my questioning of Frostwolf Grunt earlier today?
I mean...
Wow, son. You're very flippant. Or fickle. Or both.
Double Dreadlord is so oppressive. You basically just don't have to do anything to a board in order to set it up for removal. He's just nudged those taunts a couple of times, and now Dreadlords are going to do the work.
Drop the Dark Creeper as well. Why not? Go all in. Okay, well, same thing to a certain extent. But yeah, this is what I mean. Like, this looks like a crazy board to play Doomsayer on, but it makes sense with the overall plan. And Pokrovac's like, I guess a pass.
I do wonder. how entirely necessary the Doomsayer was in
I
this
like
position. So your opponent is on what size Jades? The next one is a 6/6 because that is a buffed 5/5 we're looking at right now, which means in theory you're going to be looking at like a 6/6 and a 7/7 come down into play alongside the actual Jade activators. That is a board that, yeah, probably forces a twisting. So, yeah, all right, I can see why.
You don't want to do it right before the Geist.
Exactly.
Which is why I like it. You just say this Doomsayer is pretty much immortal now. Like, let's go. And this is why the Tar Creepers and the Chain Gangs are going to be so useful late game. They do similar options. They say, well, you have a 7/7 and 8/8. Well, here's 3 taunts. Enjoy again. You know, like, you can't hit me until that Geist comes out, and then you twist in. He also has both twistings, which means he can buy himself even more time.
Oh, the Geist is just hiding for Zumpp right now, buried deep in the bottom of the deck.
What's nuts is if Geist had already been played, I'm pretty sure Pokrovac concedes.
Steady on there, Raven.
What? How do you win?
He's still got a Medivh with an Ultimate Infestation in his hand. He's still got Malfurion. He still gets up to 10/10 Jades, just naturally with the cards that he has in his deck.
No, he'll be behind, right? Because he just played the Jade Idol.
Sure, he gets up to 9/9 then. Yeah.
I don't know. I think with Gul'dan down already, this is scary.
There is no way you concede to Geist as Jade Druid. It's very beatable.
We'll see. Some wins. I'm better than you.
I said it was beatable. You're advocating conceding, which suggests that you have a 0% win rate when you get Geisted in this matchup. That's just not reality.
If he'd already been Geisted at this point, with him already having Gul'dan hero power, with him already this late into the deck, both players this late into the deck, by the way, it's like, so how many Jade Idols did I kill? just a quick check. 3. Yeah, I'll take it.
Well, more importantly, he's only seen 1 Mark of the Lotus get played, right? So he was checking to see if he killed a 2nd Mark of the Lotus.
Did he only see 1? I thought he saw 2.
Maybe.
There was 1 on the... Was that Jade that was 6 out on the turn he did it to the Scarabs?
The counter Gul'dan. He did it on the counter Gul'dan turn when he went Spreading Plague, Jade, and then Mark
right,
of
so
the Lotus.
and it was the 6 one,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, okay. Yep. Of course, always worth checking. He's a swiperoo.
Yeah. Zumpp is starting to stabilize, and he's doing so with double Twisting Nether still available in hand to take care of a couple of board states.
That is the scary part here.
And I'm not going to pretend for a second that Pokrovac does not have hurdles to overcome in this position.
But if Zumpp wins... This Stonehill's probably going to make a very big impact on this game, actually, because it could give Zumpp... I mean, that's a good card as well. It could give Zumpp... Not necessarily this turn. This is probably twisting.
Yeah, this is a point I wanted to lead to when I was debating the need for the Doomsayer, is that you still have both of your Twisting Nethers left to play this game. And Twisting Nether plus Doomsayer on the same turn is borderline broken at how absurd it
It's borderline unfair.
Yeah, it's insane in terms of how hard it swings a board position. Because if he still had a Doomsayer in reserve here, he would have gone Twisting Nether, Doomsayer into Lich King on the following turn, and then just had an 8/8 beat stick on the board for the coming turns.
Yeah, and then lol all the way home, basically.
Right.
So now Aya is a bit of a problem, but again, with Hero Power Twisting, you're like, okay, there's Aya gone, there's Jade Generation gone. I think almost, is there like 1 Behemoth left? Maybe?
No, that was the 9/9 that came out of Aya. That was the 9/9.
Of course, yeah.
The standard Jade deck counts to 10 in terms of Jades. 1 Jade Idol was not used, which means there's only 9/9 remaining, which means Zumpp knows he has seen all of the threats so far.
Really nice here. The Unstable Affliction, I'm just making up words. The UI is unplayable now, as it will just completely decimate Pokrovac in Fatigue. So he basically has a 5-drop and a 6-drop and a 1/5 at this point to try and win this game. To me, looks like 0%, so he should have conceded.
You're an infuriating human being, Raven.
Oh, 1/1 definitely not going to do it. Could have saved us all a lot of time here when he saw the Geist.
You just can't possibly believe half of the stuff you say.
Maybe I just want you to believe that.
Yeah.
You're being mean, coming off the 1-1. There's the concede. You win. You can rest now, but Pokrovac cannot. He has one more game minimum to play now as Zumpp goes 2-0 with this control warlock. And I talked to Admirable, I think, and maybe even you earlier. Mix you all up. But we talk a lot about the presumption that warlock is Zoo. Like most of the time. I think it might have been Admirable. And they said, like, oh, the power level of Zoo, can you see people even bringing control lock? And, what do you think of it? Like, obviously, Zumpp's doing well with it this match, but do you think this is a deck that he's going to do extremely well with going forward? Both players here are 4-0. So
I'm not a big believer in Warlock at all in the current metagame. I'm not as convinced of the power level of Zoo as a lot of people seem to be, and I think Control Warlock definitely suffers against Priest, which makes your ban very linear if you're bringing a Warlock along, because Priest kind of has to go. And then at that point, you're kind of limiting yourself, because then you then have to play the Geist to be able to take out the Jade Druid, which weakens your matchups against a bunch of other decks. So for me, Warlock just isn't a class I'd be considering in Last Hero Standing right now.
Okay, well, Zumpp seems to like it. And something I have liked from Zumpp, you mentioned earlier, is just the heavily aggressive live tapping. Obviously more important in the match where you had to find, or the game you had to find Geist.
Yeah. But
it's something when playing Control Lock, like, I probably tap too much, to be quite honest, but I love having the options available in hand and having a plethora of options, actually. Just be able to flex a little bit. But now we might see Pokrovac do that thing where you double Mana Worm a Warlock, and then they die.
Not just any Warlock, he's double Mana Worming Zumpp, the inventor of double Mana Worm in this deck. Yeah.
Taste your own medicine. Although Tar Creeper is a very good card. They have to attack through it, so there goes one Mana Worm and the Arcanologist. So only 1/3/3 now, and there is Doomsayer available with a life tap if Zumpp really wants it. Although Saronite Chain Gang now sets up the Mana Worm for a Mortal Coil next turn. So, that suddenly changed the battle plan there, but I think Doomsayer tap really wouldn't have been too bad. Even if it's soaking up a Fireball, that's a Fireball and a 4 damage hit in the one turn.
Yeah, it can. It only takes a Frostbolt, right, because of the Mana Worm buff, but even then, that's a Frostbolt that's probably off curve from your opponent.
Yeah, and it's more likely Frostbolt ping, right? And you're like, oh, well,
sure.
Okay. I'll probably deal with it next turn. So, yeah, not bad for Zumpp.
Tap Doomsayer is very viable here, just to deny some card draw from that Acolyte. Otherwise, it is very well in the realms of possibility that Acolyte will farm.
Yep, it's either the same as Hellfiring, except you don't take damage yourself, or your opponent pings, and you're okay because your opponent just spent 2 mana. Yeah,
of course, the counterplay to that is just what Pokrovac's doing here, which is you just then ping your own Acolyte. Yeah. You pick up the same 2 card draws you were going to get anyway. But Zumpp does get this free turn now just to develop probably a 4/6 on the board just for mana efficiency.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just gonna check what he killed. His own Mortal Coil.
Killed his own coil.
That's fine. Coils, because as the game goes on, becomes slightly less effective. You can still use it to draw late game, but really not the end of the world. Whereas obviously having the 4/6 is a pretty big deal here. Can siphon off this Doomsayer. If he wants to go that way, it will heal him a little bit, and I think at this point in the game, with the ability to get down the Mistress of Mixtures, that's probably looking very appealing, actually, to Zumpp.
Yeah, he needs to start healing, because Pokrovac just went straight for the throat on that previous turn. Just Medivh's Valet hit face.
Yeah, go. Zumpp probably is hoping for just one slow turn here. Not going to get it, though, with Violence Paul. 4/4, not really the end of the world. Which way do you go here? Do you go for the Medivh just for their high value, or do you say, I can't kill this 4/4, I don't want to take 4?
4's a huge chunk of your health in this spot when you're only at 20. I think putting the Taunt in the way makes a lot of sense, but the Meteor is going to come out as a very clean hit in this position.
Not a good card for Zumpp either, the Doom Pact. No. It's my most frustrating one to see from Lich King, I think.
Ready?
Yeah, I mean, what's worse than Doom Pact?
Yeah, probably right.
Because, yeah, okay, it might save you now and again, but you like discard so much of your stuff. Like, it's insane. if it's ever like, the only time it's good is against like big priest or something. You know, you got 5 mana, discard a card, kill a minion. Okay.
There's the draw from Zumpp, though.
That's the biggie.
It's what he needs. As I mentioned, if there's a lethal setup from your opponent, it's very often Blood Reaver Gul'dan can prevent just with the 5 armor the initial setup, and then gaining 3 every turn starts to have a very big impact. But Pokrovac recognizes the threat of Gul'dan coming down and saying, hey, you know what? If you play Gul'dan here, I keep a 7/7.
Might not have much choice. There are other things you can do. You can go for the Dreadlord into, or you go into Stonehill first, just to try and put something in the way of this Medivh. Follow it with Dreadlord, and then if they both, the one it does 2 damage to the Medivh.
There's also a Blood Mage Defile play, right? That will take care of it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then just
there
do,
you go.
the and then just do the Dreadlord. It's probably better.
Your soul is mine.
I'll trade it off. The Dreadlord himself, the Voidwalker, pretty nice actually. And it means his Gul'dan is much more impactful when he plays it now. 2 Dreadlords if this one dies, and well, if it doesn't, there's still 2 Dreadlords. Yeah. And even the Voidwalker just to be a little bit annoying here.
That looked like a Pyroblast to me. It sure was. Takes him down to 6, which means Gul'dan pulls him back up to 11. And then there is Fireball, Frostbolt in hand, and there is a 6/10 still in play as well.
Wow.
The remains of a 6/10. And that is going to be Pokrovac getting himself on the board in this series.
Yeah, got off to a pretty quick start there, and Zumpp just took too much damage too quickly. The Pyroblast really cracking Zumpp open there, I would say, and just, you know, allowing Pokrovac to say, I'm getting you with a 2/5.
Sure.
Yeah, what? Sure. So yeah, that Pyroblast actually really just changed everything up there. If Zumpp could get Gul'dan down and not die that turn, then this gets actually very difficult for Pokrovac, because as you mentioned earlier, those hero powers, the 6 damage differences, start to get really nutty as the game goes on. Right,
it wasn't only Pyroblast though. Pyroblast was the most flashy and immediate one, but if he'd have picked up another Fireball, a Firelands Portal, because he had Medivh's Valet, Fireball, Frostbolt, and he then drew another Fireball, he's outputting 9 to 12 damage per turn over 2 or 3 turns at that point. So just healing for 3 is not enough from Zumpp to prevent that coming through. So he did have a pretty firm grip on that the entire time, pretty much from the point where he just played the first Medivh's Valet to face and said, you're under pressure for the rest of the game.
And this almost harkens back to, I would say, like halfway through this metagame, to be honest, and even like Ungoro to a certain extent, because it's very much how that matchup is played. And I don't think Zump's going to be too upset with that loss, because it's like, well, yeah, the deck kind of does beat me if it just goes face, because I can't heal fast enough. But now Zumpp still has 2 goes here. He has his Rogue and his Priest left. Chosen to go with the Rogue against Pokrovac's Mage. There's a backstab now to clear up that Mana Worm. Pretty nice. Can go straight then into the South Sea Captain and hold on to this 1/2.
Here we go.
And it's very interesting actually, because the overall game plan that Pokrovac took versus Zump's Warlock, probably very similar to the one he plans on taking versus this Rogue as well. Just kill them. They often can't do much about Ice Block.
Yeah, very true.
No burn.
4-mana Meteor very often does the job against some of the threats that you're going to run into, though. Did have the option to develop a 2/3 just for tempo to contest board, but knows that Captain is a very highly possible, if not probable, turn from Zumpp on the follow-up here, and the 2/2 patches would just trade through it nice and cleanly anyway. So he's going to hold on to that Medivh for some removal, and immediately gets the payout by picking up Ice Block on the following turn, meaning that Medivh's Valet is now very much live to counter-swing the board.
And also as well, the Meteor can often act like a sort of half burn, because if it makes you survive 1 turn longer, well, that's 1 turn longer to draw a card, to deal damage, so on, so on. So still get him there. Also still has that Blizzard, so Pokrovac's walking along a tightrope here of saying, I have, you know, X amount of stall combined with the damage. Now there's the Pyroblast, there's the Alex Strahls, there's a Definite in hand. Pokrovac's got lethal, effectively. Just later on.
But does he see it?
One of the greatest lines in all of Hearthstone, and it wasn't by a professional caster.
No.
It's weird that doesn't surprise me.
Wow. Have some pride in your own profession.
It's hard when people keep putting you down all
That's
the time.
probably very true, yeah.
When you're emotionally knocked every time.
The Scalebane does force the Meteor. Pokrovac now is pretty much down to that Blizzard in terms of stalling potential, and he does have a number of turns that he still needs to stall for, but he does have the setup still pretty cleanly available.
Archaeologist is pretty huge as well.
Yeah.
You can pull that secret, whether it be the barrier or the second block,
Yep.
out, and suddenly with the coin Alexstrasza into Fireball into Pyro, that is, I imagine, roughly what he's going to be looking at getting to.
Well, the coin actually doesn't change the equation that much. Coin Alexstrasza and then Fireball on 9, Pyroblast on 10 is effective, but if he needs to coin, he can buy himself another turn quite often with Flame Strike at this point, though he's past that point now anyway, so we will most likely see the coin Alex end up being a line as long as he's stable.
Yeah, that's just like the overall checkmate plan, right? Probably kind of going old school with this list, to be honest. Just with like the Pyro and stuff, like don't often see this type of mage even run Pyro anymore. Not what I've seen of it, at least. It's, it's normally like it feels more like it's lent heavily towards the Jaina stall is the most popular one.
Right. Well, I would almost consider those different decks. I think the burn heavy version still exists, but a lot of people are playing like the control heavy Jaina version.
Yeah, I very rarely see this on ladder, for example. Like this feels like a bit of an old school deck to me. Not that I'm complaining. I love this deck.
I might be wrong, but I think Complexity have been running this kind of variation of mage throughout Trinity series as their mage deck of choice. So it is around in various positions.
Also, as well, there's a large difference to what someone sees on ladder to what someone sees in a competitive format.
Absolutely.
So I know when Crane was talking about the Hunter deck Complexity used, he's like, yeah, don't try this on ladder. It's literally our tournament Hunter deck. Like, that's it.
Don't try this at home, kids.
Especially at home on a ladder. Only sounds more dangerous.
Pretty much everything sounds more dangerous if you're on a ladder.
Apart from climbing up somewhere very high. And then it's much safer with a ladder.
That's very true.
Choose soon.
So I'm just going to do what you can. Maximize on stats on board, make his board as hard as possible to remove. But it is looking very much like Pokrovac has a very clean setup coming up over the following turns. He has that Blizzard to spare as well, just to secure everything if he really needs to.
Yeah, I mean, with that Blizzard now, he can, in fact, not coin Alexstrasza.
Well, I mean, coin Alexstrasza is actually a problem in this position because he would coin Alexstrasza and then lose his Ice Block without the second one in hand. Now with the Archaeologist in hand, now he's in business.
Yeah, and the Nova's just the the icing on the cake at this point, just to pretty much seal the deal in this game.
And this is what I was getting at earlier when I said that we might not necessarily see the coin Alex line, is that if Zumpp can generate enough pressure to pop the block when the Alex comes down, because you need 2 turns after that, not 1, then it can be a big problem.
Especially because Pokrovac has done no damage to Zumpp, right? Sometimes with your draw, you actually end up doing the whole like Medivh Valet face, push, like fireball face, and just say, I'm just going to kill you. Alex is a potential bonus later on. She can self Alex if needed. But yeah, with 0 damage, Alex in Zumpp is very important here.
But that second Archaeologist was the key to the Magic Kingdom, because now he goes Alexstrasza. Sure, he loses his block the next turn, but then he reblocks and fireballs, and then he has Pyroblast to lock up the game after that.
Here we go.
Easy big, easy game, easy mage, easy pyro.
Easy what, easy R, easy U, easy talking, easy about.
Dunno.
Okay.
It's easy. Okay, so I'm just working on the optimal meteor positioning here. I've already seen one at 4 mana. Doesn't need to see another one right now.
Many options.
I would be very afraid if I was Zumpp, though, because I think there has to be something that's like, he's had 3 to 4 cards in his hand for most of the game.
Yeah.
I wonder.
I mean, you just don't have counterplay to it.
Oh, there's no I'm not saying that he should do something about it. There's nothing he can do, but I think Zumpp won't be too shocked when he sees this follow-up now.
Yep.
Even just a slight sort of smile there, just like, yeah, okay, well, if there's Alex, guess what else there normally is? Le Burn.
Shaku in play is the final wild card here, and oh my god!
There's no counterplay, please, Subtle. Come on, this is Hearthstone. There's no counterplay.
That wasn't exactly something that he set up to counter a scenario.
It's why he sorted the meteor positioning out to try and dodge with it. It's just absolute rubbish from me there, but wow! Look at
the eyes widen.
Someone gif it. Someone gif that right now. I need this to be available at all times. When anything crazy happens, I want to show Pokrovac's reaction right there, right then. Now, suddenly in the ice block race, Pokrovac feels behind, and Alex has been used as well.
Oh my.
It's actually just game?
Do you have any line of play that beats Ice Block? You do not.
Nope.
Correct? So you have to shut your eyes and ignore it.
Well, Glyph Ice Block next turn is something Pokrovac can hope for. Maybe there's a reverse Ice Block situation when there are, 2 Ice Blocks might be more than I can handle in any given game.
Yeah, just slam that one as well.
No. You wait. You wait.
You wait.
Bluff the Ice Block into the concede.
The game's over, Raven. Just double troll him. This could be a counter spell as well. It could mess him up even more.
Gift that one as well. I expect a whole folder sent to me.
A good collection of Pokrovac gifts this game.
That's almost like the seems good one. He's like nodding, but in like a heartbreaking kind of way. Shake of the head tells us that it more than likely is not, in fact, the glyph that he needs. There's the pyro, there's the ice block, and guess what, ladies and gentlemen? That is the game. Zumpp off the back of the only out I believe was even possible, which was Shaku into ice block to get ahead in the Immunity Wars. Don't worry about Infinity Wars coming out. Don't look at that trailer. Immunity Wars right here, right now.
There were some other possibilities. Counterspell would actually mess up Pokrovac a little bit as well. Based on the following, he would have to either sacrifice an Ice Block or a Fireball into the Counterspell, which would be a problem. Frostlich Jaina would be a burst heal that would get him out of range of the setup as well. But it was incredibly unlikely that Shaku pulled him out of that.
Yeah, I think like the other ones weren't as like a straight up loss as the Ice Block.
Absolutely.
Actually, there were things Pokrovac could draw. For example, he could draw a spell, burn a counter spell, then still have Fireball, for example. So that was worst case scenario for Pokrovac there. So he's going to go 4-1, and Zumpp is going to go 5-0. Yeah, this guy's a god.
Zumpp, there are a couple. Lorinda has these stats of people who just seem to perform at DreamHack over and over again. Dr. Chikaninki, for example, huge performer in the American circuit DreamHacks that we've had recently, but Zumpp is kind of an EU equivalent at this point. He just needs to get a win under his belt to back that up
Dr.
as well.
J can be the America's equivalent, but
sure. But yeah, as exciting as that is, when you are a competitive player, that is not how you want to lose a series. It sounds like a dumb thing to say because there's no way you want to lose a series, but some players are quite often happy to hold their hands up and say, you played great, your lineup was fantastic,
you got me.
You built good decks, well played. Situations like that are just heartbreaking for the players involved, and as entertaining and as hilarious as things like that are, your heart does have to go out to the player that's on the receiving end.
As long as the viewers had a good time.
Sure.
But no, what I will say to that as well is it is unfortunate in that position. We've all been there, right? It's happened to all of us many times, but also we have done that to people many times as well. So in the grand karma of the world, it sorts itself out at some point, I have no doubt. So that was a crazy ending to this round, but we have the final round, number 6, coming up for you very shortly as soon as we get the players ready. So don't go anywhere.